Larry Sanders, our ag policy specialist, joins us now. And Larry, let's start talking some politics. The election is over. The big question, what happens next?
Yeah, what are we all going to do with our spare time?
Exactly.
It's amazing. You know, after all that's happened, with all the money that's been spent, all the back and forth in the debates and the rancor, the landscape is really very little changed. There's a little bit more strength in the Democrats on the Senate side, a little bit more Democratic strength in the House, but the Republicans are still very strongly in control. And of course, Obama back in, and you can argue if you look at the electoral votes whether he had a mandate versus the popular vote, which is relatively close. But landscape hasn't changed very much. But what they have to do is changing as we speak, and we've got some big decisions ahead, and the sooner we make those, I think the better for the country and the world.
There's a lot of talk, of course, post-election. Do you think there will be more bipartisanship now that we're in the president's second term?
I think there'll be early attempts at it, but I think very quickly the House is probably going to posture itself to see whether or not they still have the ability to flex their muscle. But we are moving toward this cliff in January, the fiscal cliff. And the Farm Bill, whether we extend it or have a new one before then, is going to play into that very compelling drama as we move forward.
And what are some of the things that we're going to see with the Farm Bill in the next few weeks?
Well, we're probably going to see an extension. We've only got about 2 to 4 weeks of working days in Congress that are left in this year because of all the breaks that they have yet to take and the administrative duties that they have. But an extension is almost certain to give them the breathing room to do what has to be done and to give the market certainty for the coming year. But they're very quickly going to begin to decide whether or not they're going to move toward what the Senate has proposed as a farm bill and what the House Ag Committee has proposed as a farm bill. Two very good bills. The president has said, I don't care very much. Let's just get one of them done and get it out of the way. So he's sort of postured himself to stay out of the debate until it gets to conference. So if and when they go to conference, which could be before the end of the year, the conference then will begin the tough decisions of saying, do we want more or less in food stamps, the SNAP programs, how big are the cuts that we were going to have to farmers with commodity program cuts, and are we ready to have this major rewrite to go to risk management programs? And I think even if we get it to conference, even if the House decides to vote and we get something to conference, there won't be time to do it by the end of the year. We'll move into next year, and it could play into the difficulties of going off that fiscal cliff.
Okay. Continue to watch that. And finally, just a quick word on the economy. It's still on everybody's minds.
Sure, and even though the markets have been maybe having an adverse reaction this week, I think that's settling down very quickly because what they've got now is some degree of certainty. They know who is going to be in the White House. They know what the House and Senate look like. So markets have been very unstable over the past year because of this question of who's going to do what, and we know that now. We know who the players are, and because they're very similar to the players we've had the last 4 years, they pretty much know how they're going to shape the debate at the negotiating table. And so domestically, I think we're going to see more stability. The world market is beginning to be in a very big panic because they think if we actually go off this financial cliff, that we may stay there and it may harm their economies like in Europe and China at a time when they can't afford it. I think even if we go off the fiscal cliff, it won't last very long, and we'll begin to do what has to be done. So they may realize that after a time, but right now there's more uncertainty out in the world than there is here in the U.S.
Okay. Larry Sanders, we appreciate your time as always, and
Thank you.
We'll see you again soon.